Good morning. I'm Ellen Honigstock, the Senior Director of Education at Urban Green Council. Today we have a great event about Con Ed's energy efficiency programs with a live demo of the Building Automation Systems Calculator. I'd like to turn it over to Andrew Kringas, the Trade Ally Manager from Con Ed. Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks, Ellen, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today. We have a great presentation, so let's get into it. Next slide, please. Our two presenters today will be myself, Andrew Kringas, Trade Ally Manager here at Con Edison, and Lanzy, our Senior Engineering Specialist, also with Con Edison. So our title today, Maximizing Efficiency with Building Automation System Savings Calculator in Action. Again, as Ellen mentioned, we will be providing a live demo. A bit about the agenda today. We've gone through our introductions. We'll dive into a little bit about Con Edison, our customer clean energy programs, the introduction to the building automation system measure itself, our live demo, and then we can wrap up with an engaging Q&A at the end. So a little bit about Con Edison. We deliver electricity, gas, and steam to millions of people, right? Con Edison New York delivers electricity to 3.7 million customers, gas to 1.1 million customers, and steam to about 1,520 customers. The Con Edison territory outlined in blue, you can see on the map, covers Westchester County and the 5 boroughs of New York City, including the Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. Orange and Rockland, and O&R, our sister company, highlighted in orange on the map, delivers electricity to approximately 300,000 customers and gas to about 100,000 customers in their territory west of Westchester County, as you see on the map here. We also operate the largest steam distribution system in the United States, located in Manhattan, which spans from the southern tip of Manhattan up to 96th Street on the west side of the island and up to about 89th Street on the east side of the island. So a little bit about the evolution of the utility's role in clean energy. Right? As mentioned before, our core business includes distribution of the three commodities, electric, gas, and steam. Our customers span a diverse market that include a unique building stock, right? The 5 boroughs in Westchester County presents a unique opportunity for us to work with our customers. Our growth strategy itself includes investing a little over $2 billion by 2025. And we've evolved essentially to becoming a trusted energy advisor, promoting customer choice, education, and incentives with our customers. Con Edison's clean energy commitment supports New York's ambitious clean energy transition, aiming for a sustainable and reliable low-carbon energy future. A little bit about the clean energy commitment. Pillar 1 focuses on building the grid of the future. Pillar 2 focuses on empowering all of our customers to meet their climate goals. Pillar 3, reimagining the gas system. Pillar 4, lead by reducing our company's carbon footprint, mainly focusing on our steam generation and modernizing our fleets, our utility vehicles that we use. And for Pillar 5, partnering with our stakeholders with a primary focus on supporting our disadvantaged communities within our territory. So today we'll dive further into Pillar 2, empowering all of our customers to meet their climate goals. So our customer clean energy programs, we have these programs and financial incentives that can fit your needs. Whether you are a customer, a contractor, however you fit into the puzzle here, we should have a solution for you and the projects you want to put through these programs. This is where you'll access the BAS measure from today's presentation. So customer programs include the commercial and industrial program, multifamily, the residential program, including renters and homeowners, and small businesses and nonprofit program. These incentives that are offered in these programs cover up to certain percentages of the total project cost based on the measures being considered. For the residential program customer eligibility spans single-family homes, residential buildings with 1 to 4 units. Some of the measures offered in this program include appliances, heating and cooling equipment, clean heat measures, controls, home energy reports, and weatherization measures. In the multifamily energy efficiency program, these are customer eligibility spans multifamily buildings with at least 5 or more residential units who are eligible for these incentives. Some of the incentive level tracks for this program include market rate incentives, affordable housing incentives, in-unit direct installs, the neighborhood program, and clean heat measures through our NEAT program. For customer type examples for multifamily, think about the medium to high-rise apartments you see throughout the city and parts of county. These are the folks that we're talking about. And for the C&I energy efficiency program, this slide clearly will list out customer eligibility and the eligibility for each commodity offered in the program. So bear with me. Right? For projects dealing with electric saving measures, customers with Con Edison commercial electric accounts over 100 kW in average peak demand on a rolling 12-month basis are eligible for C&I incentives. For customers dealing with gas-saving measures, customers with Con Edison commercial gas accounts are eligible, except customers with a service called SC14 or customers receiving service via a negotiated contract. And for projects dealing with steam-saving measures, customers must have an eligible Con Edison electric and active steam service account. So for these types of customers, for C&I, think about the New York City skyline, right? The high skyscrapers, office buildings, think hospitals, large box warehouses, universities, things of this type. For our small business and nonprofits program, or small biz for short, customers are eligible with Con Edison electric accounts that average an electrical demand of at least 300 kW or less on a 12-month rolling basis. So for these customers, think about your first floor retail, your mom and pop shops, restaurants, bodegas, right? Schools, offices, houses of worship, barbershops, nonprofits. These are the customers that we strive to serve in this program specifically. So taking a look into the past, this is giving us a glimpse into the types of measures that have driven the portfolio here at Con Ed, right? You can take a peek into the window into what's been done previously. These measures have historically driven our programs forward, right? Some of these measures have been sunset, or we're shifting priority focus here, but this is what we talk about when we're saying the types of measures, the types of projects that we've worked with in the past. Next slide, please. So knowing the types of projects and the types of measures that have gone through our program, we've seen significant progress over the years. Since 2020, to give us a snapshot here, we've completed at least 74,000 projects, engaged with more than 4.9 million customers, helped avoid over 5.7 million metric tons of CO2 emissions, which equates to about 1.2 million cars off the road, and paid out at least 1.4 billion in project incentives. In 2024 alone, putting more focus towards our energy efficiency and building electrification efforts, here's some additional stats. Over 13,000 customers have installed heat pumps. Over 40,000 customers have heat pumps, which is a huge number. And then over 372 million in total investment in energy efficiency and building electrification has been put through these programs. Which brings us to our next slide and our shifting in our portfolio. So in the coming years, more focus will be put towards building envelope upgrades and the electrification of heat and hot water in support of the clean energy transition. From my previous slides, the utility will begin to phase out measures like lighting, natural gas, equipment, refrigeration, home energy reports, as you see on the left. And then on the right, placing more emphasis and to grow measures that you see here, like including air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps, and building envelope upgrades as we move towards the future. So we've given you a glimpse in what we've done, where we're currently at, and how we're approaching the future. I will now pass this off to Lanzy, who will take us into the live demo. So Lanzy, please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So I guess let's start by laying a foundation on what we are talking about. Okay. So whether you are deeply technical or not, the basics will help the next part clearer on what we are talking about today. So what is BAS? BAS is short for Building Automation System or Building Management System. And it also referred to as Energy Management System. So these terms are not necessarily fully interchangeable, but in the sense of energy conservation or energy efficiency, they can be considered to be the same thing. BAS is a centralized control of the building's mechanical, electrical, lighting, fire safety, surveillance, etc. So it ensures the building's safety, human comfort, and also saves energy. BAS consists of sensors that measure environmental conditions like light and temperature, actuators that adjust equipment like valve and dampers, and controllers that use logic to orchestrate the system's response. We want to point out that when we talk about BAS under Con Edison energy efficiency programs, we are actually focusing on the controls that is related to the building's HVAC or HVAC system, meaning heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. that saves energy. So before we talk about how BAS saves energy, we can start by looking at the typical energy waste in buildings without a BAS or with an old BAS that is not fully functional. So if you don't have a centralized control, the set points of your different systems in the building can overlap and sometimes even conflict with each other. A typical situation is simultaneous heating and cooling in the same space. And also, if your HVAC runs on basic control only, it is not maximizing the full potential of the efficient operation. And you would have limited monitoring, such as this and this, on a computer screen that tells you how the system operates real time. And more importantly, it'll send you alarm when anything goes wrong in the system. We understand most buildings have local thermostats that allow you to do some scheduling, but it is not so much automated, and the operation highly rely on the behavior of your building's occupants and staff. And also, if you don't have an intelligent system to collect and analyze the data for you, you wouldn't be able to run your building at this so-called base load-driven philosophy. By load, what I mean is the requirement for heating, cooling, and ventilation of your building that is specific to your building. And also it is dynamic based on your occupancy, lighting, equipment schedule. While you have a good BAS, you would be able to reduce most of the energy waste listed here and saves energy of your building. To name a few BAS control sequences, you can do setback during nighttime and unoccupied time. You can further reduce your system operation by doing optimal start-stop. You can control your ventilation based on your demand, optimize your chiller and boiler operation, and even reset your temperature and or pressure of your discharge air to further reduce the fan power consumption. So based on studies, a BAS can potentially save roughly 15% of electricity and 20% of fossil fuel of your building's consumption. An effective useful life of a typical BAS is 15 years. We understand that for building owners, you might want to do a financial analysis to see if the cost of installing a new system or upgrade the existing one is justified by the lifetime energy saving it brings you and maybe other benefits it can also bring. So the good news is that Con Edison provide incentive for this energy efficiency measure. So whether it is first-time installation of a new system or if you are doing upgrade of your existing system. So we do want to emphasize that if you already have a BAS system and you're doing upgrade on it, we do need you to install new hardware and add new sequences to it to be eligible for the incentive. So if you are just doing like-for-like replacement or just repairing a sensor, doing some retro commissioning, they won't be eligible for incentive. So for all these years, we have been asking our customer to do a custom saving calculation to estimate the saving that is brought by your BAS project. And we will review your calculation. And for some large projects, we even had to do this measurement and verification. The reason is under all our programs, the incentive is based on your annual saving of your project. Starting from July 2025, we have released our own BAS saving calculator that will allow our customers to submit your projects with using our tool. And let's see how it works. So aside from the regular documents that is required for the application, the required things that is required, if you are using Con Edison BAS tool for submission, it's listed here. Okay, So first, of course, we would need a completed Con Edison BAS calculator. We will show you how to use it later. The most recent annual fossil fuel billing usage data, if your fossil fuel is not with Con Edison, and we would need a simplified scope of work. I attached a template here. You can fill it yourself or with help from your BAS vendor. These three documents, we do require them at the time of application. After you install and fully commission your system, we also need a finalized SOO, sequence of operation document, for our final review. So as you can see, it's quite a short list because the intention is to make it easier for our customers to participate in our programs, because one, you don't need to invent your own saving calculation now. And the tool does quickly calculate the saving and incentive for you so that it's very helpful for your financial planning. It also means much shorter review and processing time with Con Edison, less engineering costs for you that is dedicated to this incentive application so that you can allocate more variable resources, time and money towards commissioning your system, training your staff, maintaining your system so that it can bring you that lifetime saving. The tool does work for various building types that Andrew mentioned, whether it is a CNI building, multifamily, or small medium business. It is eligible for different fuel types. If you have Con Edison electricity, gas, and steam, or if you are still using oil, we incentivize all of them. The only thing is that if your gas is with other utility company, we don't incentivize them. We have embedded 9 common HVAC-related control sequences into our tool, and they are listed here. I guess without further ado, I will show you how to use the tool for a saving and incentive calculation. Okay, so this is what the tool looks like. It has 3 visible tabs: a summary tab, inputs and savings tab, and a reference tab for building type. Let's start from looking at summary. These orange fields are mandatory input that is collected by our programs for processing the project. Not all of them are related to saving and incentive calculation. For example, account holders, site information, and the contract information. The only thing, just for demo purpose only, we're going to focus on this part, the project details section. In here, you would select program that you are participating with your project, whether it is commercial and industrial, multifamily, or small medium business. So if it is a multifamily project, we do need to know whether your building is market rate or affordable multifamily building, as it impacts the incentive rate. And also we need to know how many dwelling units in your building. That also determines the incentive rate. So in our demo, we're going to use a New York City office building as an example, so that I choose a CNI here. These cells are tool generation date that represent your application date and also your estimated installation date. These 2 dates will determine which program year's incentive rate and guidelines we apply to this project. Okay, so now let's move to inputs and savings tab. On this tab, there are multiple sections: building energy use intensity, control system information, project information, and I guess the most important, exciting part, the results and incentive section. So let's start from the beginning. These orange inputs are needed, and the principal building used here in our example, it's an office building that I made up. For the primary heating fuel type, in this case, let's assume it's gas. we do allow a secondary heating fuel type. If it is not applicable for your building, you choose not applicable. And we need the building area for that EUI, energy usage intensity calculation. Let's make up a number. And for your electric usage, let's assume it's a little bit more than 7 million kWh, and also your fossil fuel. In this case, it is gas therms consumption. So these numbers need to be supported. And these consumption numbers, they should be the last 12 months data that is supported by your energy bills. Our reviewers will check them to see if they match our own data. So in this section, once you input all of these here, the energy use intensity will be calculated, and they will be compared with a typical office building's usage, which is the benchmark data here. As you can see, I actually probably missed a 0 here, so that the fossil fuel EUI is much lower, and that is actually more than 25% lower than benchmark. Please review inputs for accuracy. So this is the intention of this section. So you can check and review your data input to make sure they are reasonable. That being said, if your building consumption is higher and or lower than, that plus minus 25% range of the benchmark value, it is okay as long as they're supported. Now let's go to the control system information section. This is where you tell us the nature of your project. Is it an installation of a new system, or is it upgrade of existing system? So in our example, it's a new installation. And here we need to, it's actually optional, but we can input the make and model of your BMS product. And here we need to input the project cost that is backed up with your proposal. Let's assume it's a made up number. It's $2 million. So if you have anything special in this project that you want us to know, then you can put some notes and or explanation here. It's not mandatory. Now let's go to the project information section. It's the largest section of this tool. Let's look at these columns first. So as you can see, it allows up to 5 different areas in this building, meaning let's say if you have a different occupancy pattern for these areas, or if you have different HVAC systems, or if all the existing conditions are the same, but you're doing different things to these different areas, then this is where you can differentiate them by separating these areas. Okay, we allow up to 5. Now let's try some input here. Let me look at my sample input. Let's assume area 1 is 275,000 square feet. And this is our, let's say, interior area. And the occupancy pattern is 5 to 6 days with unoccupied nights. It's a typical office building pattern. Here is the controlled HVAC equipment section. It tells your existing HVAC system. So let's say ventilation system type, assuming VAV system, primary central heating, assuming steam boiler with gas and central cooling, electric chiller, and the majority terminal units, even though it does not impact the saving calculation and it's not mandatory. We would love to know if you have that information. So for in this case, VAV box to match the VAV air handler. So this would be your existing system. And now here's the part where you input your scope of work. As I mentioned, we embedded 9 common control sequences in here. And let's assume, because we're installing a new system, we might want to maximize the saving potential. So we're going to implement all of them, okay? So if you select 1, it's implemented. If it's 0 or left empty, then you're not doing this control. You probably see here, this boiler temperature reset measure is disabled because you are using steam boiler, so that you cannot reset the water temperature. So even if you put 1 here, the saving from this measure will be excluded from the total saving. You can put 1, 0 or empty, it doesn't matter. Now, basically, the scope of work is only for interior area. We're done with all the inputs, and it will tell us how much saving and incentive we'll get in this part. So this part tells you kWh, kW, which is the peak demand, fossil fuel savings in MMBTU unit and in its own unit, in this case is therms, and also the net total MMBTU saving. And the incentive section, it'll tell you the uncapped saving for electricity and fossil fuel and the total incentive offer estimate with capping. So these are the numbers that you really care about. And we also put some side results here. For example, the scope of work area, the scope of area estimated consumption based on your total consumption, and also how many percent of electricity and fossil fuel can be saved, potentially saved by this project, right? And also how many percent of your project costs can be covered this project. Again, these are made up numbers. And if you go back to summary tab, there's also a summary here, also tells the same information about saving and the total incentive. Okay, let's get back to the beginning. So if you, let's say you don't know, you have a building, but you don't know which category it falls into, what you can do is we have a building type information tab. It has the definition for each building type, and we provided some examples for them. So you can probably find an answer here. And another thing is, let's say we are also doing something to the other area. In this case, let's assume it's a perimeter area of this building. And also the perimeter has, let's say, different system. It's a constant volume. It's also using steam boiler for heating, electric chiller for cooling. And in this case, it's a CAV box as the terminal unit. Then what you could do is you can also implementing all these control sequences for this building as long as it applies. I guess because you have a constant volume system, it wouldn't allow you to do the static pressure reset for your discharge air. So that is disabled. Now you have, I mean, your cost is probably higher, but let's assume it's the same, but you're gonna have more saving here. As you can see, more incentive here. And if the cost is the same or a little bit higher, but probably more of the cost can be covered by this incentive. Again, it's also shown in the summary tab. Another thing is so the tool does give you some warnings if you accidentally input something wrong. For example, let's say the area here, you had some overlap with these areas, so that let's say the total area is actually larger than the building total area. The tool will give you a warning. It says control area exceeds building area. Now you need to come back and fix this to make sure, you know, these areas do not overlap. Another thing I want to show you is that because as Andrew mentioned, some of the buildings have been electrified partially or fully, with or without us, so that they may already have heat pumps for heating as a primary heating fuel. And they probably, if not fully electrified, they probably have a backup heating with fossil fuel. the tool also works for such scenario. So I'm going to keep the consumption numbers the same, but it should be different. I assume a lot higher electricity, but lower gas consumption. But here, what you could do is, if your building is already served by heat pumps, then you would choose central heating system as heat pump system. And in this case, if you also have backup heating with gas, then I would just, let's say you're still keeping your steam boilers, but they are also controlled by this project, right, with certain integrated control. But if it is not controlled in this project, you can always select not applicable or not controlled. In this case, you're still doing all the same controls that you need to do, and the tool will show you the total saving. As you can by looking at this saving percentage, you can see more electricity saving is here, but less fossil fuel saving because you only use it as backup when it is absolutely needed.
Hey, thanks, Lanzy. That was a great demo. I hope the audience took some notes here. We have some Con Ed colleagues on the call today. We have CJ Sue, program manager on the multifamily side, Stephanie King from the CNI program, deputy program manager. We wanted to get some more folks in the room, get some questions flowing here. Lanzy, I'll start with you first. What types of heating and cooling systems are supported by the tool?
Thank you, Andrew. Can I share screen again? I want to show it from the tool interface. So the supported HVAC systems, I mean, in my cases, I just showed one example, but all the supported systems are in these drop-down lists. In each field input, for example, ventilation system, we serve VAV, CV, DOAS, and all these mainstream ventilation system. And also for heating, we have these options, even including heat pump, right? And also for central cooling, we serve direct expansion and electric chiller. We do want to say that we didn't include those fossil fuel driven chillers or absorption chillers into the control cooling system. So, I mean, if you do have a absorption chiller or fossil fuel driven chiller in your building, and you really wish that you can use our tool for your project saving calculation, please let us know. So if we collect in quite some cases that needs this feature, we will consider adding it to the tool. That helps.
Thanks, Lanzy. For Stephanie, for the CNI program, could you explain what the incentive rate for the BAS measure is?
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. So for the BAS measure, the building automation systems, we have a few different incentive rates depending on what kind of savings that you have. It goes by 35 cents per kilowatt hour. And then we have $80 per M-pounds of Con Edison steam. Then we have $5 per therm and $10 per gallon of fuel oil.
Thanks, Steph. And if I was a contractor looking to enroll in the CNI program, how would you best suggest that for the audience today?
Absolutely. I would suggest you can either go to our website and fill out an interest form, or you can reach out to the Trade Ally team, like Andrew, yourself. We have Andrew Farrell and some other representatives, or you could reach out to one of our sales representatives if you already have a connection with them.
Thanks. CJ, if you could come on around. For the multifamily program, what are the incentive rates for the BAS measure?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. So similar to the CNI program, our incentives are paid on a performance basis depending on the type of savings generated by the project. So whether similar to Stephanie, I'm going to just repeat it, there's like either steam savings, oil savings, electric savings, or gas savings. The incentives will also differ if you're a market rate versus low moderate income qualified building, which is a big part of our program. And so, it'll be a lot of numbers, and I don't expect anyone to remember this. So this will lead into, Andrew, your follow-up question as to how do we follow up with the multifamily team, but so folks have an idea, electric savings will generate anywhere between 16 to 18 cents per kilowatt hour. Gas will generate $3 to $4 per therm. And steam is about $80 per M-pound, and oil is $3.50 per gallon saved. So this is all depending on your project. I feel like for past projects, we've seen the average savings and the incentive rate is about like 30% of the total project cost, which is not insignificant. We've heard a lot of positive things about this measure from folks who have undergone it. And in terms of how to reach out to the multifamily program, you could reach out to myself, which I don't know if we'll share our emails, Andrew, but happy to do that, or reach out to our implementation contractor team. I think some of which are on the call today, but you could reach out to them at conedmultifamily@willdan.com. That would probably be the surest way to get in touch with multifamily program and get a project started. We'll answer all of your questions. And yeah, looking forward to connect. Back to you, Andrew.
Sure. Thanks, CJ. Yes, we will be sharing the slide deck. And as CJ mentioned, right, there is an implementation contractor for the multifamily team who you can get in touch with. We have those emails listed. The same for the small business and nonprofit program. Both Willdan implements these programs for Con Edison, so they are the best for the day-to-day operations for enrollment. And so I'm going to bring this back to Lanzy for some questions here. Can you explain what the difference of the calculation for upgrade existing BAS and installation of new BAS?
Got it. So in the calculation, there is no real difference. But based on your project type, our reviewers will check the eligibility of each proposed measure. For example, if you're installing a new system, it is simpler for us. We just need to confirm there is no existing BAS with the site visit. But if it is an upgrade of existing system, we would need to check if the existing BAS already has the capability of that control. Remember, we asked you to provide a simplified scope of work. You would need to let us know what hardware is installed to enable that control. Otherwise, if your current control is already able to do it, and it's just a retro commissioning or repair, it won't be eligible for the incentive. That's the major difference. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Lanzy. So for CJ and Steph, right, we spoke about how contractors are able to enroll in the program, but if I'm a customer looking to participate or engage with a Con Edison program like C&I or multifamily, could you both explain the customer journey for the audience today? I guess, Steph, we could start with you, and then CJ, you can follow up for multifamily.
Absolutely. Thank you. So the customer journey after you submit an interest form or you get connected with our Trade Ally group, you'll go through a type of onboarding where you'll get familiar with our systems, and you can go ahead and submit an application. So when you do submit that application, you'll need to have a full scope of work, our application document, and a few other documents like that. But really the key is a full scope of work. From there, you'll go through a technical review where we look at the calculations, and then you'll also go through a pre-inspection so we can look at the existing conditions and get a sense of the baseline. From there, we'll go ahead and issue a PIOL document, which is our initial incentive offer. And then once we get that back, we can go ahead and issue a notice to proceed or an NTP. Once you have this document, you can go ahead and start with the installation process. And as you work through that and complete that, then we'll move on into the final engineering review and a post-inspection. And then once we've covered that and everything is good to go, then we'll move into payment. And that's the process.
Thanks. CJ, I guess, explaining the customer journey.
Sure thing.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. It'll sound a little bit similar to the CNI program. We try to have a little bit of overlap in terms of our processes, but in terms of a customer journey on the multifamily program, like I mentioned earlier, feel free to reach out to the conedmultifamily@willdan.com email, to our implementation contractor. We have folks internally who specifically work with customers or PCs. I should say contractors, alphabet soup over here. But in a similar fashion, the process does start with the application form. Once that's been submitted, the project will undergo some engineering review, and we'll definitely walk you through all the different steps and update you as to if there's any revisions that need to happen on tools or assumptions. And honestly, our team is happy to work with the contractor that you are working with if you're a building owner, because there could be a number of back and forth and clarifications. We can keep you in the loop on this, but in the past we generally have seen that communicating directly with the contractors is pretty expeditious. And once on the engineering review and the pre-inspections have been cleared, we issue, similar to CNI program, a PIOL, the preliminary incentive offer letter. Once that's been countersigned, we send over the notice to proceed. Just building on Stephanie's comments, I would say this is probably the most important part, is to note that you cannot start installation before receiving a notice to proceed. We need to go through all of the prior steps just to make sure that we're on the same page in terms of the baseline conditions before we move forward. And once you have the notice to proceed, though, you are open to start installation. Let us know when you're done installing. We'll head out for the post-inspection. Once that's been cured, we can get that on a bill, and the incentives would be on their way to you. So in a nutshell, that's our process.
Thanks, CJ. For Lanzy, if the input for building type is based on principal building use, does it work for mixed use buildings? For example, office and residential, where the BAS control is applied to both areas? Lanzy, that one's for you.
The short answer is yes, it works for mixed use buildings. The tool allows users to do benchmarking based on the building type to see if the inputs are reasonable. But if your building is mixed use, I guess the benchmark result section might not be a great fit because the values are based on single building type. The good news is that the benchmark section does not impact your saving or incentive calculation. So our reviews can, based on your mixed building areas, for residential, let's say residential and office part, we can do a double check whether for each area, the EUI, energy intensity usage index, is reasonable. But other than that, the tool is totally applicable for your building.
Thanks, Lanzy. I'm seeing some audience questions come in. There were a few asking whether or not whether we would be sharing the slides from today. The answer is yes. Ellen mentioned at the beginning that this recording will be shared on the Urban Green Council website. The Con Edison team is able to distribute this recording and the slides should you need them more readily available. So you have a few solutions there for how to source the information that we went over today. And as far as where you can find this on our website, or the latest tool of this, right? Getting confirmation from the program team that the latest tool will be updated today on our website. We can provide the links when we share this on where you can find it, understandably so, to make sure you have the right location. I see another question coming in. 1 second as I review it. Will Con Ed accept custom BAS calculations for sequences not listed in the tool, or for projects incorporating a mix of new sequences that may include those listed in additions to ones not in the tool? So this was a good question. Give me 1 second.
I can answer that, Andrew.
Sure. Yeah. Take it, Lanzy.
Yeah. Yes. So for now, the custom can still submit their own calculations to capture the energy savings. If the project includes a mixture of control strategies that are not captured, right, by this tool. But but it is for now. If anything changes from the programs, we will let you know, but you are allowed to submit your custom calculations for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Lanzy. We got another question. In what ways can this system of calculation help a contractor company? So I think in what ways can this benefit a contractor working in our programs? Lanzy, would you want to take this? I have a bit of the answer, but
I feel like that's a program question.
okay, I'll take it. The calculator and what we've presented on today, essentially, if you are a contractor participating in our program, this will help reduce the amount of time and energy going into it. It streamlines the process of reviewing your project, and by in the sequence of events in order to get that preliminary offer letter that's been mentioned between our program teams. So essentially, this is a tool, a resource for approved contractors in our programs, right? You're getting the access, the benefit of being here, showing up for our programs, and having access to these tools to really help improve your existing processes, right? So that should answer that question. If not, we're happy to follow up with you more on the details here.
Andrew, somebody asked about the latest tool upload. Did we answer that? So we do have a newer version. Yeah, the latest version of the tool will be uploaded soon for 2026. So you can use it for your 2026 applications.
Perfect. Thank you, Lanzy. Can we get a quick view of the building type info tab on the calculator?
Let me bring up the demo. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, I guess this is the tab that our audience want to see. These are the supported building types, and we provided definitions for each building type, and also some examples. And again, if you still don't know which building type it is for your building, please reach out to us. We'll get you an answer as quick as possible. I see one of the question is, what is the most common or the most cost-effective measure that the buildings implement? I would say, the lower hanging fruits in this BAS measure, one is a scheduling setback. If your building is not yet doing this scheduling, meaning centralized scheduling, that can be tailored for different spaces in your building, not those local thermostats, right? Centralized control. Those can be done. That can bring the most saving. And also optimal start and stop. If you are not doing it, you do need an intelligent system to analyze the load pattern of your building to do that optimization. Another thing is demand control ventilation. Well, I would say those 9 common measures, if you're not doing them yet, if it is applicable to your building, we do strongly recommend it. Do them all under the same BAS project.
Thanks, Lanzy.
No problem. Another question, can you please provide definitions for the control sequences? These control sequences, most of them are defined in ASHRAE, the new control standard. And also we ask you to provide us a simplified scope of work. And in your document, you would tell me what exactly you are doing with that measure. Our reviewers will look at them to see if it does fall into the control sequence category. In that case, we would imagine, because each control is probably tailored for your building, and say you're doing reset for your discharge air temperature, a reset limit can be different for each building. But we would acknowledge that our tool does it in a cookie cutting way to estimate the saving for each measure. So the actual saving for your building may vary from our calculation results. And that is anticipated. It is accepted by us. But don't forget the benefits of using this tool. It really cut your engineering costs. It saves you money and time for this application. So that's what I want to emphasize here.
Thanks, Lanzy. I have another question here. I'll take this one. Are the incentives paid out in advance based on predictive performance/savings, or are they paid out at the end of the year once actual performance/savings data is available? So actually, I guess, CJ, would you be able to provide this response for us?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to clarify that the preliminary incentive offer letter is generated based on the predicted savings. That's really just to give customers and contractors an idea of sort of like the magnitude of incentives and savings we expect to see on the project. The final incentives and actual incentive amounts will depend on the actual like scope of work that was successfully and correctly installed. So just a little nuance there. It's not necessarily like the end of the year or anything like that. It's once that project is successfully installed and has been fully post-inspected and all issues have been cleared, we will let you know of the final savings, which will in turn let you know about the final incentive amount. So get the project installed and then get it post-inspected, and the final incentives will be clear and based on that. I think that's probably the same for CNI, right, Steph?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, CJ and Steph. So again, we've been tracking all the questions. We're looking to just come in at the hour here for the presentation. I want to thank everyone for joining today and giving us some of your time. We know this is a busy time of year. I want to give a thanks to Urban Green Council as well for letting us collaborate and put this demo on. We will again also share these links that you see on the page. We have contact information. Feel free to reach out to me directly. I have my email listed here as well. I'm happy to connect some of the dots here for everyone. With that being said, Ellen, I will pass the mic over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great webinar. And we would like you to take advantage of our 3 new heat pump on-demand course. And they're meant for building owners and facility managers, designers, everybody to, flatten the learning curve on uptake of heat pumps. And that is it. Thank you very much for joining us today.